Amanda Started a Podcast is a podcast started by me. I'm Amanda. Hi. This week, Veronica joins me to chat about how the more we learn, the more we feel like we have so much more to learn. We talk about moving to Berlin. We talk about the importance of female friendships and how we feel super sisterly towards our friends. The sound isn't incredible, I will admit, especially in the beginning, the first minute or so. So please bear with me. I might have to change mics, but these ones are just so cute. I don't want to.
When you've compared your early 20s to your late 20s, how much you think you know everything. You get older and you're like, I know fucking nothing. Everyone I meet here, like, it feels like an older crowd in general. People feel a lot more secure in themselves. People are very easily themselves, and that is unique.
Yeah. I found like love for myself prior to moving here, and I'm stoked that was the case, because I think this is a city that's hard to like kind of cultivate the love for yourself. Like if I moved here when I was 21 and I was just like raging all the time, like I don't know what kind of person I would be.
No, same. When I literally feel like I got here just at the right time, like mentally, because I think any sooner I would have been relying on all the wrong things.
Yeah,
but also
same.
I think it's like you need to kind of trust yourself and be like, I can be in a new situation with no crutches. When you're younger, you don't realize like those crutches actually really help you. You know, when you're like learning to cycle and you have the little like, it's like you need that, and you don't want it, like you don't think you need it, but being here I think it's very much you need to be complete.
And I think the reason why I wanted to definitely have you on the podcast is that obviously we are newer friends, but I also know how much you value friendship and being a good friend, and you've already been there for me so much in the short amount of time we've been friends. How the fuck did I get this lucky? Literally, how am I this lucky? Like, I'm so grateful. While maybe bad situations have happened, or I've been in shitty situations with friends in the past, I'm so fucking lucky that I at least have one person that's like basically in my corner, there for me, or whatever the fuck.
Always babe.
I know, but it's sweet.
No, of course. I have like a really big girl group of friends in London. I don't have a sister, but I feel like sisterly about friendships. You kind of just back people when they need it. For me, I think that's easier because I'm very protective over people, and I reckon that's like some Freudian like subconscious shit. I'm protective over myself, so like when I see someone else, I'm like seeing myself in them. Like if I had a therapist right now, they would say that. Dig right into that. I'm glad I've met you too, because I feel like you're like a really like fun and like easy person to be around. It's kind of tough meeting people off the bat. You can make a shit joke and it's fine, and you can look like shit or feel like shit and it feels okay, because I feel like I can get quite nervous with some people that they're thinking this is who I am. And I feel like with you I don't really get that. I feel like
but I do understand what you mean though. I said this to, I think Kaya and I actually talked about it on the podcast too. Sometimes you feel like you always have to be putting your best face forward, or your best foot forward, or like be happy, be positive, be stoked, be the best version of you in order to attract or have fun, have good friendships, or meet good people, or whatever. Us hanging out for the first time, so it's like I was a mess.
Kelly was down.
She was down bad.
Diva down.
Yeah. And I think I'm happy to hear that, because I always want all of my friends and slash kind of everyone I'm around to feel like they can be themselves, because I also think in a world where everyone is so hyper like I want to look cool or be cool, it's just like so hard to actually be yourself and feel loved for who you are. I think that was maybe all of my 20s or all of my teens and 20s, you know what I mean?
No, 100%. I know, more than anything, I think it's kind of like increased as well. I mean, I remember saying to you ages ago about performing, and I think it's a very like womanly thing. It's like performing femininity and like performing this like version of yourself that's so palatable, because being difficult, I think I'm saying as a woman, but like I think it's not just that, that's just from my experience. I do think it's you being difficult is like the worst thing you could possibly be. You have to try so hard for people to like you by not being unacceptable in like your kind of just bad ways. And it's definitely, I think everyone is like so cool and so interesting and so talented. It just kind of makes you think, oh fuck, like that's authentically them. And it's like, no, they're also trying their hardest.
They're trying their fucking hardest.
They're also like putting their best like foot forward, and it just it doesn't feel like that.
That's what I've learned so far is the best friendships that I've had. Not that I think I have a fucking running list of 200 names of like acquaintances, sure, but like the people that like really back you and you're really close friends, like sometimes that's like a list of like 4 or 5 people that like, and that's like
they're the only ones who hate you. I feel like sometimes as well it's one of those things where like it's, you know, when like I've got this friend Nikki, I love her so much, shout out Nikki. It's almost like to a fault where we're like, that person fuck with you, okay, they're not my friend. It's like, no, they did nothing to me, and
now they're on no, but that's how I am too. I'm like, if you're on my close circle and you fucked with somebody, I'm like, you will
You're out.
You're out.
Yeah,
You're out. And
done.
one of my friends this summer was like in a thing, like in some sort of tiff, like something happened with one of their other friends. And I literally, like, in my head, I was like, nothing happened to me. This had nothing to do with me. In my head, I thought of what I would say to this person that wronged my friend.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and when I see him,
So
I'm
real.
gonna say this. And like I had like this line. It wasn't like cursing. It wasn't like fuck you. It was literally just like a snark comment that I knew would kind of just like sting a little. And I was like, I'm excited for this. Yeah. I'm excited to get to this point and say this. And ended up I never ran into the person.
You were ready.
I was ready.
But I do think like sometimes it's easier being there for other people than yourself. And it's like why you always like come up with like the best comebacks. You feel so like confident that it's like you're in the wrong. Whereas like when you're the person, it's almost like you need validation from people to be like, am I in the wrong? Is it them? Like it's so easy to do that for someone you care about because you're like this omniscient force, right? But like when it's you, there's so much like self-doubt, and that's why I think it's really important to have people that will back it but also tell you when you're wrong. There's like a thin line because they're like, at some points it's sometimes like a yes man kind of vibe where like people are like, yeah, fuck them, and it's like, are we not gonna like analyze this? Are we not like get into the data and figure out like, am I wrong? Like,
and like also like, are you then a good friend if you're always like fuck this? Or are you like, wait, let's just think for 1 second here. And maybe that is like, going back to the sisterly thing. Yeah. Because it is sisterly. No, I'm going to fucking tell you when you're also being a fucking bitch.
Yeah. I'm going to call you out. Yeah. I think you need to be comfortable with someone to do that. I think there has to be this like, it's a really small space.
Because it has to be respected when you call them a bitch.
And also, so say if you're like friends with someone and they keep getting into things with people, like there's going to be a limit to how many times you can tell them you're in the wrong. And it needs to be really like understood and like balanced relationship. I can step in and tell you you're wrong and you're going to understand I'm being objective. Not like because you pissed me off yesterday, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get a dig back. It's such a balance of respect, love, and I think
and trust. And that's like what friendship is. It's like an amalgamation of those things. It takes time to build those things. And I think also being in a new city, being in a new country, being in a new place, sometimes it can get overwhelming when you're like, fuck, I don't have all these great friends that I maybe had in London or maybe I have in New York. But you moved here for these reasons. This is a part of the reason maybe to grow. You're going to become a better person of yourself. Being lonely sometimes, whatever the fuck you have to go through.
I don't know if you have the same in New York, but it's like big fish in a small pond and then like small fish in a big pond. You in like your home place, you're like, okay, these are my people I trust, these are people I love, like I'm good. And then it's like almost testing yourself to be like, can I create as an adult like relationships? Because you know how people always say it's kind of hard to make friends as an adult. I disagree with that because I feel like you just have to put yourself out there and you just, it works or it doesn't. It's like compatibility is random and like it either will work or it won't. For me, I knew that being here, I feel like sometimes I'm overly familiar with people when I meet them because in my head I'm like, why wouldn't we be friends? Wishing for the best kind of thing. But I do think it kind of re-teaches you to see what actually matters in the kind of people as an adult you want to have, not like childhood legacy friends, people that it's like, okay, who can I go to about kind of boring, mundane adult problems?
Yeah, the fucking thing you're talking about, like the phone friends. Sometimes you just need a friend over to play on your phone next to each other.
Phone friends.
And you're not talking.
Yeah, and it's respected.
It's respected.
Me and Ned, we always just like sit on our phones.
No, I know, because he'll be texting me like, just at Veronica. And it's like immediate text back and it's like, I'm alone in my bed right now. But you're hanging out with Veronica, so why are you responding?
We put on a film and just got on our phones. But I kind of love it because I think it's literally the equivalent of alone time. It's like someone's there and like occasionally you'll speak, and obviously you don't want to do that all the time, but I do think it's kind of the same as having nothing to say to someone but being around them. It's just showing each other memes. Being like,
and you are showing each other memes from your own phones.
That is like that on the record. We are showing each other memes.
The way that you moved here, and I feel like you brought a fresh energy for me, and also I've loved becoming friends with you, but I also think it's sick for you to have had Ned, one of your best friends, being here as well.
100%.
Which is so nice.
I think he made it like so much easier transitioning. It's even just little things like, what are you doing this weekend? If I had to think of that myself, oh my God, girl, like I would have fucking hated that. That would have been really stressful. It's kind of great that I can just roll along and see if I like it or not. From the get-go, I had my summer plans because Ned had his plans. And luckily he's very, very organized. Like he knows what he's doing.
I know. And I think my thing about Ned, who I'll get on this podcast whether he likes it or not. I think the thing about Ned that I've really loved about getting to know him is because we met just out at Berghain or whatever. He thinks that didn't happen. It's what happened. It's the truth. But he is really like me in that, like, we're very organized. We plan out our weeks. Like, when I'm like, what are you doing? And he sends me a screenshot of his calendar for the week.
There is a calendar.
That's me. And I'm like, that's the first person I've met here who's very like this type of like organizational. He needs his alone time. I need my alone time. When we have a wild one or something and he has to go like touch grass, I'm like, oh, I'm learning from you. I also need to do that sometimes. When I met him, I think that's what's interesting, and I'm sure you're gonna have this time and time again, and I'm gonna continue having this. I thought maybe he was just a party friend.
Right.
And I was stoked. Party friend, great, whatever. But then, like, over the course of time, and especially in the past few months, I'm like, oh, bitch is not a party friend. Bitch is a real one.
He's a real one.
He's a real one.
Yeah, I think he's a good example of, I think it is sometimes the party friend box that people can fit into is no one is just a party person, right?
Yeah.
They have to have an external world, worries and dreams and shit like that. I think it's kind of the limits of your relationship if we've only experienced each other in this space. And the second you test it outside of that and see, is the compatibility there, I think that's when you get to really feel it. And I think if you spend enough time with anyone, even just having inside jokes or knowing how to make someone smile, that makes it a lot easier to be real friends. It feels really vulnerable to take it outside the party, to be like,
so vulnerable.
Let's hang out sober, let's go for a walk. That's terrifying.
No, I know. And Kai and I literally had this exact conversation when she was on the podcast, because it's like a vulnerability of especially a one-on-one hang. The first time I hung out with Liam outside of a party, it was very like, I felt nervous as fuck. And then it's like, oh, this is just another person. You're like putting yourself out there. It's like so crazy.
It's like, please like me.
Yeah.
And like, do I like you?
Do I like you?
Yeah, do I like you?
And I think that's huge that I've learned in my later 20s. I felt like I always, and I'm still probably learning that now a little bit, but I wanted so hard for everyone just to fucking like me. But I'm like, I never fucking thought about if I liked people.
Oh,
this is huge.
Or like, the more difficult they are, the harder you work. And it's like, I actually don't like difficult people. Like, this is actually kind of like, I kind of hate how this makes me feel.
God, and I'll say this all the time. The biggest test of how you feel is your gut feeling. Do you feel good when you leave hanging out with this person? Do you fucking feel good when you are hanging out? Or are you really anxious? And are you leave and you're like, wait, I feel like my energy was drained. That's so easy. And it's so easy for your brain to be like, yeah, but you were just hanging out with friends that you like. But it's like, no, and those aren't the people for you.
You literally said it to me early days of me being here. I feel like I'm hungover when I've had the wrong people to be around. If I'm around the right people, I don't really feel hungover. And I was like, that is so true. Even, okay, just like going for a walk with someone, like a friend, then walking away after and being a bit like anxious and being, I felt like I was being weird. You wouldn't think that if it was a match, because you'd be like, they got me. I felt seen. Like, I know that I wasn't being weird. Yeah. When you don't feel seen, you're like, I was being really weird. After you said that to me, it really stuck in my head. I was telling you about last weekend, me waking up and crying happy tears because I had like such a good weekend. This is the thing, is there was the right people and the right energy and all the right decisions were made, which is sometimes a little bit of luck, but I think sometimes also you kind of actively have to curate that and be like, I can't be around this kind of energy tonight. I need to cut it off at a certain time. Being really intentional with when you need to be human and social. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And not just kind of desperately going to whatever's going on because it's, oh, I need to be around people. And it's like, those people are going to make you feel worse.
100%. And not even that. The desperately going to things just because things are on because of FOMO or because, well, it's like that will make you feel worse. If you're not in the place to be at that thing, it will literally make you feel worse than feeling whatever FOMO, even if you don't get FOMO. People say they don't get FOMO. I'm like, I'm sure you do sometimes.
I think I don't really get FOMO. I think the reason I don't get FOMO is because I have this theory that everything I've missed would have been really bad. And one of my friends, one of my friends always validates me. Every time I leave early or I don't come to something, I'll get a text in the morning like, it was really shit. Like, good you didn't come.
Ned did that to me 2-3 weeks ago, where I was, you were, when we had our movie night, when we were over here watching Bodies. I was feeling a little on the teetering edge of being self-destructive.
She was vulnerable. We like jumped right in, it was like movie and popcorn.
Exactly. Yeah. I was teetering on the edge of like, should I go out? Should I stay in? Should I go out? Should I stay in? And then I didn't go out. And then Ned hit me with like all the reviews the next day, and I was stoked.
You need that in your life. People just to tell you everything was shit when you weren't that.
Yeah.
My theory is everything I've ever missed wasn't that good.
I think I'll use that from here on out. If I wasn't there, how could it have been like, fun?
You're the source of everything, right?
I mean,
so technically, if you weren't that, like,
so then it wasn't fun.
Nothing happened.
Also, fuck people that go on and on and on about how it was the most amazing party in the world if you missed it or something.
Best thing ever.
That's
you're like,
actually
with, like,
a bad friend.
And they want to all talk about how great it was without you.
I didn't go to a thing. And
redacted.
The person the next day was like, it was actually the best night ever. I know you weren't there. Blah, blah, blah. This really upset me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if you were a real friend, you wouldn't say that.
You would have not texted.
You would have not told me. You would have. Yeah. It's different if we were at a thing with a bunch of people and someone said, "Hey, how was that thing?"
Yeah.
And then you answered honestly.
They
that's different.
Out.
But they reached out to me to say that.
I want to find out who this was after. I, if anything, am so the kind of person to immediately walk that shit back. Yeah. They're like, oh, did you have fun? I was like, yes. And they're like, oh, I feel like I missed out. I'm like, it wasn't that much fun.
Or you're like, oh, but next week when we go to that thing, it's going to be just as great.
Yes.
You
were missed.
Yeah.
Can we just stick that in somewhere?
Being good friends to get good friends. I think that's what's up right now. But I also wanted
that's really in.
That's really in.
It's really
It's very hot. But I also wanted to ask you. So
what's her name?
If you want to speak to it, obviously you are doing a career shift. Yes. You're getting a new job.
But pivot.
But you also moved to Berlin in your late 20s. If you could speak to why you decided to move, first of all, and basically restart your life, but also like double restart your life. It's not like you moved for a job. Because I did the same thing. I didn't move for a job.
I did not move for a job. You know what though? I think the timing for me was like perfect. I don't think I would want to come here with responsibilities or commitments that locked me down. I think I kind of needed to be somewhere where I was like, I have no obligations because I could leave just as easily. I think I kind of needed, because you kind of need to see if you like it.
But you did kind of see because you did like a nice sublet. I feel like you're like, I'm locked in now.
Love you, Fenya. That's great.
Fenya gets a shout out.
Yeah. No, that was like my trial, my like dipping a toe. And like the problem is you come to Berlin in the summer.
Yeah.
Good vibes, beautiful people, sunny. You've got savings because you thought ahead. You were like, I'm moving to Berlin. I'm quitting my job.
I think you're like 1 in a million with the savings thing. I can't imagine too many people move here with savings.
I could see that. But like I came here and like unfortunately had the best time ever.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because it's kind of dream unemployed life. Got things to do. Everyone's free.
Well, everyone's always free.
Everyone's always suspiciously. I cannot believe people have jobs here. But I so obviously was here and I was there's so much to do. It's so fun. I think September hit and it was like a bus hitting me of being like, Veronica, get a job. Find a place to move. I was suddenly hit with on the night out and I get home. I like walk through the door. I had loads of fun. Everything was good. Walk through the door. So as soon as the door shut behind me, I was like hyperventilating, being like, what am I doing with my life? And I was like, fuck, like it was really stressful. But weirdly, I think I'm very much someone who everything falls into place once I actually look at it and pay attention to it. My true belief is we all know what we want. I think no one is indecisive. I think we know what we definitely don't want, for example. There's like real limitations in life. Like there's time and there's money constraints, there's relationships, there's things that can happen. There are paths to things. And like we wouldn't want something so out of our reach. Like sure, I want to be a millionaire, but technically that's not impossible. It's just long. I think all of my goals here were like actually really attainable and reachable. So the second I like put my mind to it, I could just do it. So I feel like I've had quite an easy ride here of figuring things out. And job wise, it's weird because when you change industries, and I've done that like a million times over, you just need someone to give you a chance. I've just been trying to navigate in a place especially that's super creative and like everyone's like a freelancer, and I kind of would like to be non-freelance. Work-wise, I think I'm delusional and I believe the perfect thing will come up when I'm right for it.
I don't think that's delusion.
Thank you.
I think that's true. So the thing that you said before though about being like, oh no, I think it's gonna work out because we all know what we want, blah 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 blah. I think I have this theory that I worked out with my sister. It's called like the Mount Everest theory, and it kind of plays into that, and also that the idea of, I don't know if you always would have felt that way if you were in your early 20s. So the Everest theory is this. No one just goes and fucking hikes or climbs whatever Mount Everest. Like you train, you get prepared, you buy all the gits and gadgets and stuff. You have to like literally do so much planning. I have never looked into the finances, but I think it costs a lot of money. You might have to get a lot of money.
You need to get some boots.
You need to get some boots. You have to get like little freeze-dried snacks that go in your backpack. Like you have to do all this stuff. You have to train. You have to get to base camp. Getting to base camp is still a whole fucking process on its own and so much work. You didn't even start climbing Mount Everest yet. You doing all this work, or I feel like for me, doing all this work, especially for mental health or like even with self-esteem or friendships or whatever, or you getting to this place where you were like, I'm ready to move to Berlin. I can make friends. Everything will work out for me. Because you actually you did the prep. You're already at base camp. And a lot of people think that they can just like go climb Mount Everest. It's like, no, bitch, you have to do the work to get to base camp. And then the fucking hike starts.
I love this. I think it's a really good way to think of it realistically as well. From the outside, you look at people doing huge things. You don't see all the time they're not in sight doing all the work. And like, I completely agree.
I was always very independent. Like, I remember when I was in like kindergarten, I even wanted to be like independent. Like, or my mom always tells a story, because I don't remember this, but when I was 2 and I went to preschool, they were supposed to walk you in. Like, your parents were supposed to walk into your classroom and be like, oh, this is your classroom, like, whatever. She walked me to the door of the building. And I go, you can go now. And she was like,
I'm ready.
You're 2. Like, you're not going in there alone. That's not happening.
You don't know where you're going.
Like,
you can't
she
read
was
the
literally
signs.
like, no, I'm coming. Like, and I feel like that's very...
Baby Amanda.
Yeah, no, baby Amanda was exactly the same. Only I was more annoying. Like,
couldn't imagine.
No. There was all these videos of me because Paige, my sister, was like so cute. She was all very like shy and like, and like she had the cutest face ever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey. And like my dad would
I'm a
like
baby.
he would do like home videos, and Paige would be like in her little tutu being like, oh, and then I'd be like, hey dad, look over here, dad. And then I remember when my parents moved 8 years ago, they moved, and one Christmas it was so sad because my dad was redoing this new house we moved into. I was living in Philadelphia at the time, but I was like home for Christmas, and it was so sad. There was a chair and like a folding table, and it was just like a very bleak situation. And he's like, want to watch some home videos I found in the move? And I was kind of like, we have home videos? Like, I had no idea. So he pops them on. I literally was like, and then I was like, I know, like my parents' friends, like, and my neighbors from growing up, like I knew at a certain point there was a self-awareness within me that certain people didn't like me. I knew, and now I know why, because of that. Like, I was that. And my parents were like, and I was like, whoa, how did you let that out of that house? And they were like,
me? You
were so cute. And I was like, I literally was like, hey, dad. Like, literally that was me in every video. And I was like, nothing about that is cute. And now I understand where I think like my mom's best friend's like husband, like I know he hated me, and I know why. Like, I would hate me if I met that kid. I'd be like, give it a Valium and let it calm down.
Take it to the Four Seasons to Orlando. That baby needs to chill out.
No, literally.
That's so funny. I'll show you some baby videos I have when I was younger. I was just I kind of had a really high pitched, like kind of Cockney voice. I don't know where that came from. Like that dropped that. I went through puberty. My voice dropped.
When you went through puberty, you left the Cockney accent behind you in your childhood.
I will show you videos and you'll be like, what the fuck?
I actually don't. I'm not really sure what a Cockney accent is right now.
It's like, all right, governor. Like, it was like, I was really aware as a child that I spoke weirdly. But like, probably one of my like earliest memories is being like, why do I talk like this?
Right. I wasn't self-aware until until later.
Until
much later. The one thing I will say that I love about me, and I don't know if this is my mom's doing, I was always really fucking weird. Like, the way that kids are weird, I think I never lost that. Like, you know how some kids are just so strange? Like, I remember in 3rd grade, I became obsessed with the American flag. Like, no, now it's a rough time.
Who did you vote for? When you say obsessed, are we talking like
visually?
Outfits?
Visually.
Oh, like bedroom?
No. I found a sticker sheet, a temporary tattoo sticker sheet of just American flags. And every week when they would rub off, I would put more on my cheeks. It would say USA, and then I had an American flag. And then sometimes
did you have like people going past you being like patriot?
I literally wore that to school. That's like crazy. I loved my face tattoos, and I had friends.
Insane.
You know what I mean?
Maybe they thought you were like anti-establishment, like ironically.
I don't know.
Some like child that's like really tapped into satirical like art. Like, this is punk.
Also, at the time, it was 2002, so I guess it was very big to be a patriot in that post 9/11.
Wow.
So
maybe they thought your like parents stuck it on you to like
maybe
seem less threatening.
Who did
they had your voice and they were like, fucking,
because they saw I was really giving off a crazy vibe.
She has a passport. She's a citizen.
Yeah. Well, regardless of why I did it, I was obsessed with this.
No, when I was younger, I was like obsessed with Mulan.
Yeah.
And I'd get my mum to paint my face like a geisha. And I feel like all my childhood pictures are a bit like racially insensitive because like I'm a geisha for some reason in a lot of pictures.
I was actually thinking, I was in my head already debating like how much of the American flag stuff I'm going to cut out of this podcast. But now that you come in this,
I leave the shit right in. Like I can show you the pictures. I look great. My mum did a really good job actually, and that was my whole thing. I used to really love.
That was my whole thing.
Also loved things such as Beetlejuice. I think as a kid I was always, oh my god, I want to be like different and spooky. And that never left me.
So this is basically what I'm saying. I think there's some things as kids I'm very proud that they didn't leave me.
Right.
And I think some people, and maybe there's more of those people in Berlin because we're all a little freaky.
No, but if you were like so normie, you'd be the biggest freak here. Do you know what I mean?
If you were wearing a North Face zip up with sweatpants and Uggs.
What, with like a blazer in the club? Oh girl, you would be unique. You would be different.
Yeah.
Like, which is kind of weird because it's kind of like that backwards thing of like being in like the Berghain queue and seeing all the like black leather and lace and thinking.
And everyone here thinks they're unique.
We're all so basic.
Yeah.
Like so basic
I know.
because it's the same. It's weird because it kind of flips it on its head, right? I think it's authenticity. You can tell the people that it's a costume and you can tell the people where it's like that's them at their most comfortable.
Oh, totally.
And in children, I think you see it in a way that's like they want to be a little freak. And that's like comfortable.
I came here just to go to a party. I heard there was good parties in Berlin, so I came.
Has it started yet? What time is it? Can I come? Can you bring a +1?
You spend a lot of time crying for a girl that's at a party.
Go get some waterproof mascara and get to the club.
I was like on a Euro trip post-COVID, being like, let me hang out with all my friends.
Find myself.
Find myself. It's like all my friends fled the country, so I was like, let me go visit some of them. And so I came to visit my friend Meg literally for 3 days. So I'm like, I'm here to party and to party only. She's like, do you want to see the Berlin Wall? I was like, absolutely not.
We'll get around to that. Is that it? Yeah, sure.
Like any wall is a Berlin Wall. When I ended up coming, I was also very snooty about New York. I was like, I live in New York. And everyone was like, oh yeah, when I used to live in New York. Or and I was like,
Bushwick?
And I was like, okay. And then I realized through talking to all these people and really loving the people that come to Berlin and then kind of falling in love with the city at the end of like these 3 days. And then I was like, oh, I want to move here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's crazy to move somewhere after being there for 3 days. And I was like, but why not? So I did it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Here I am waiting for the party to start.
Yeah, when is the party going to start?
I felt like I've always been, especially like in high school, growing up, in college, like I've always dressed the way I wanted to, but I've always felt like, oh, like the hot guys wouldn't like me, or like I'm not fitting in, like this is, but that's okay because I want to dress this way. But I have never felt more myself than I've ever felt in my entire life than when my boots touched ground when I got to Berlin that time.
Yeah.
I literally was like, wait,
found my people.
Or not even my people. I have never felt so good in who I was. So we both move here. We both feel great. We're both waiting for the party to start.
Yeah.
We're still looking for a job.
Hire me.
For UX UI.
You know what's difficult? I think that I want to be like a banker for the day. I just want to know. I want to just like do anything, you know?
Touch a lot of bills.
Yes. So yeah, hire me for
whatever.
Your accounting, law. Let's give that a go. I think the thing is as well, being here, you meet people with really niche jobs.
Yeah.
And I think like a big part of that is because it's so affordable and people are very, from my experience, really not judgmental. People can have a really weird niche little thing that they've fallen in love with that people are like, okay, cool, that's your thing. It doesn't feel corporate. It doesn't feel people have to have certain clear milestones and goals that if you haven't reached, you're behind. Everyone here
also
is
like age doesn't matter here at all, like more than anywhere I've ever been. I don't even know how old people are.
I feel like being here, I'm young again. And when I go back to London, I'm like, fuck. It's it really feels like time travel because here you meet people in their 30s who are full of so much life and they're just discovering their first like dream job. They're just starting something in London. Everyone's fucking fast track for like babies and houses and I'm like, ugh.
I don't really get it. It feels very similar London and New York. And I don't know if it's all UK-y vibe also, but the vibe very for New York-y to me was all these gals. If you didn't find your like husband in college, you like moved to New York for like 2 to 3 years, you hardcore date, you find that guy, and then you move back to where the fuck you came from, and you live in a suburb, and like you have kids by the time you're 27, 28. Like that was like this like weird,
the rule.
It felt like the rule.
Yeah.
It felt like the society thing that I was never on that track. I never wanted to be on that track, especially since moving here. I also moved here when I was 29. I moved here and I was like, you're far too old to be moving to another city, let alone another country, and starting your whole life. Like I was like, what are you doing, you old woman? And then I move here and it doesn't matter.
No, that's literally, I was worried the party would be over.
And it hasn't even started.
I literally got here and I was like, because I wanted to come here a couple of years ago, and then I became severely agoraphobic, so like wasn't going anywhere. I didn't come when I wanted to come, and like I did that really like classic bad thing where I like told everyone, I was like, I'm moving to Berlin, and then I didn't.
But they didn't see you because you wouldn't leave your house.
Well,
so they
allegedly I was somewhere, who knows where. No, it was really funny because people were like, oh, I thought you were gonna move, and I was like, who said that? Like just really brushing it off. Yeah, so like I had it in my head. I was like, I want to move. Didn't. And then healed my mental health and kind of was finishing my contract with my last job and was like, okay, cool. The timing was just perfect. Moved, and I was like, fuck, I'm 28. Like, have I missed the boat? Am I gonna be full of regret that I got fucking mentally ill? I was so annoyed. I felt like maybe a little bit at first I was making up for lost time when I was here. This kind of little sense of really indulging in the fact that I now can leave the house, and actually I'm in a new city and I'm around new people and everything's fun and cool. And I think I really got sucked into that. But now I'm like, I could not imagine doing this younger. I couldn't imagine trying to be someone in a city where you can have anything you want at any time. Having that access, it's like unrestricted internet access as a child. You don't need that. It's not
but
good.
Also like in a weird way, going through that really horrible mental health issue and then growth, that's also a part of getting to base camp. Like you needed to be
she was still at home.
She was
thinking about base camp.
Well, you were at home thinking about moving to Berlin.
No.
But it is that. It really is that. I don't know if I said this before when I first introduced my theory, but the thing that I always say to my sister, these things will and have support us better for the future growth. There are people, even people we have met that we know of, that refuse to do any sort of growth. Like they'll never be able to climb that Mount Everest or whatever that is for them because they won't even fucking get to base camp because they won't even fucking put on their shoes.
Real.
So it's like,
get those boots on.
Get those boots on.
Everyone's going to have their own kind of Mount Everest, right? It's weird because I think going through tough spots and kind of really struggling. Philosophy time. So I've been reading a lot of Schopenhauer, Arthur Schopenhauer. He was a German philosopher in the like 18th, 19th century, whatever. And he's like miserable. He talks about suffering all the time. He's just like a miserable guy. But he talks about this thing, and I love reading his stuff because I disagree with him. And I'm like reading like, oh, no. Anyway, he talks about how animals can never really feel joy because they never really feel pain. They're kind of in this really limited space of I don't want to die and I don't want to be physically hurt, but they can't reach heights.
I don't know if that's true.
The point being, well, okay, they can get like, you can see like a sad dog, but the point being is like, humans can feel so much pain and the weight and the burden of the world. And that's the only way that we can feel good. Because if your life was kind of mediocre, you wouldn't know what good felt like without feeling bad, right? Getting through those tough spots is how you can actually feel elated and good. It's the euphoria that comes from it is from knowing how bad it can be.
But that's exactly how I feel about the friendship things. Like I had so much bad shit happen to me with friends or whatever. You walk into my life now, even though we haven't been friends for long, and I'm like, how did I get so lucky? Like you're welcome. When you see how shit things are, it's like when things are great, you're like,
when things are good, you're like, oh, that's what that should look like. 100%. But this is the thing, you wouldn't recognize it without the bad. And I think it's that seesaw of balance of like, you kind of need that tough stuff to feel even worthy of the good stuff. Because if just good things happen to you in a weird way, you'd feel spoiled. You'd feel like you don't deserve it.
I was at this party years ago, all these billionaires, and no one was happy. It's very like blah. It's like, I guess we could go to that club that like we're all members at, but like I didn't even know existed because it was a members only billionaire club. And then I went and I was like, well, this is cool because I'm here, but like everyone's fucking miserable. And it's like, you know,
because they don't have the hardship to and I guess also their hardship is going to be kind of self-inflicted. Like, you know that weird thing when people kind of have to create problems in their life because they're actually really fortunate.
Or there's also this other thing where people have had such hard times or such shitty lives. They're so
addicted to the like
struggle. The struggle or addicted to operating under this level of chaos that they create chaos around them.
That's very real.
Constantly.
I wonder with sometimes where it's okay, you haven't had like a healthy experience or maybe like a demonstration of like how to live a healthy life, that the pattern is stuck in you, that you reject what feels safe because it doesn't feel recognizable.
No, that's literally it. Because that is what it is. And that's when you have to do work on yourself and do the work to get to base camp. You have to recognize that on your own and you're the only one that can do that work, unfortunately. That's where people don't grow. Which sucks.
I agree with that. You also do outgrow people. And I think sometimes it's like you're growing at different rates and it feels, and people regress. I think that's something that also just doesn't really get taken into account. People always talk about growing. People never really think about the people that take an active step back into old patterns, old behaviors, old situations. I think a big part of it just getting older is being like, I need to just be at the same pace as the people around me. It's fine if that person's not there yet. It's just not compatible to be at different levels. The idea of outgrowing someone, I don't think it's you're forever surpassing them, because they might outgrow you at a different point. It's literally just having a growth spurt. It's just so fortunate when you meet people and you're both having a growth spurt together, growing together in something, versus kind of feeling like everyone around you stagnant and sometimes feeling like the guilt that you're doing all this work. And
not even guilt. I think it just gets hard when you're like, I'm doing this work, like why can't you? It's sad. What was this fucking quote I saw on TikTok? I saw it on TikTok.
I love when people like, I read it. I was reading
this article. It's like, I wasn't. I saw it on TikTok. This woman, I actually think it was a doctor even. You meet people when you're on the same emotional level as them. Like you can grow together, of course. Yeah. You can grow together. But maybe when you stop being their friend or something happens, it's when one of you refuses to grow and the other one grows. I was like, oh, that's really sad. And I don't know if that's like 100% true or not, but it feels
it. I think it can be 100%. Yeah. And I also think that I do tend to think of things in that kind of like structure of plants. Yeah. Like we like sunlight, we like water. I like to think of things grow in there's different seasons, you know? And I truly am so optimistic that I think everyone is capable of that growth and everybody can do it, and maybe will. It's just seeing it as we're just not at the same time doing it. There's been maybe places that I've got to that I felt really alone in because I was trying to make changes in my life and I was like, other people aren't. And now I'm seeing people do it and I'm like, gorgeous. I wish I knew at the time
that you would like, eventually.
Yeah, like people will come around if they're on their own like path.
Yeah, I think so. You want the best for your friends, even the people I'm not friends with anymore. I wouldn't classify myself as friends with. I still want the best for them.
I don't. I'm joking. There's probably like 3 people I'd say like not friends with. You know what? I could never wish the worst on someone. I believe in the evil eye and I believe in karma. I feel like wishing the worst on anyone would just come right back to you. Yeah. 100%. Why even bother?
I don't think I've ever wished the worst on anyone, but I think there's 2 or 3 people that have really fucked me up in my life that I could be like,
I want names.
I could have been like, I hope things don't work out for you. Now, where I am in life, genuinely hope they have the sickest life. Yeah. I don't care.
She's healed.
Maybe I'm healed. I don't know what that is, but I don't care. I hope that you have the best life. Yeah. I really do. And I'm sorry that you were that fucking hurt to hurt me so bad. Yeah. Because hurt people, bitch.
That's being, I think, really fucking formed in the brain. I think hateful, spiteful, bitter people, that hurts them more than anything. When you're going through a tough time and you do feel super angry at someone or negative, sure. There should be like a little grace period of like, you're allowed. You know, when people are still angry years later, how can you harbor that? It can't be good for your bones and shit. Like, it must affect you physically. 100%. Surely.
No, I really believe that it does. Forgiveness is only for you. You forgiving someone is going to do fuck all for them. Yeah. That's literally for you to feel better.
Also, I think it's when you actually feel like you can move on. No, not actually like, I'm actually over it. That is that feeling of forgiveness. I'm no longer putting any energy into it. That is relief. That can only come through time. I guess it in a weird way, I think of forgiveness sometimes as giving up. But it's kind of the positive. Giving up has like a negative
It's releasing.
Yeah, it's release, right? Yeah. It's not holding on anymore. And maybe sometimes that happens because something more important comes along and it's easy to just redirect yourself. And other times I think it's just your spirit is done.
I feel in my mind it's like a leveling up. All right, I'm on to this other thing. I do hope the best for everyone. I guess the main thing is, and the reason that I wanted to start the podcast even, is that the shit that I have been through, that have felt like, I've personally felt like at my worst, the loneliest, I have no friends, or I feel so alone and so sad. I want some fucking 14-year-old girl to randomly find this fucking podcast and be like, wait, everything's gonna be fine. One day I'll be sitting on a couch somewhere and laughing with a new friend. I want that. That's what I want from this whole thing.
No, that's really beautiful. That is a really nice intention, because sometimes you have to make what you wish existed for you.
That's exactly what's happening here. But in general, yeah. The main thing that I've said this to Cam, I've said this to Kaya. What would you say to yourself? It can be any age, it can be several ages. Some advice you would give yourself when you needed it the most in your past?
Do you want me to cry? There'd probably be different points in my life that I needed it. Sometimes I just wish I could have hugged my little younger self and just been like, you're gonna get through it. I think I knew deep down that I was always gonna be fine, but I wish I could have just affirmed myself in those situations. Especially when you're young, it feels like the end of the world every time, right? I wish I could have just been like, this is all gonna be okay. And I think sometimes that's kind of how I speak to my future self. I'm kind of like, everything's always worked out. Everything will be fine. I think life gets harder and sadder, but it also gets so much better and funnier. I wish I could have just been like, the world is the saddest, tragic place to be, but it's fucking hilarious. You're gonna be fine. Stop dressing up like a geisha. That's weird. In the future, we're gonna find this problematic. I'll explain that word when we get there. Yeah, and invest in Apple. Finally, that would be my parting message.
That's a good one.
Tell mummy to Google. Does Google exist yet? I don't know.
What year is it that you're talking to?
Maybe I'd go with, okay, when would I listen to myself? Because I know my younger self would not listen to me.
Really?
Like, shut up.
Okay, so you were one of those.
Yeah.
You were one of those kids.
Yeah, because I was so fiercely. Maybe, okay, I would speak to 9-year-old me and then 13-year-old me.
Would 13-year-old me be a bitch?
Because
13-year-old me, that was the one going to St.
I
Mark's
think I
and
could
getting
take
the
her.
piercings.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think I could took that bitch down. I think I'd know what to say. 13-year-old me, yeah, she was a little bitch, but I think she needed the most to be like, this is normal. You're going to be so confused. You're going to think you need to be this, you need to be that. You think you're meant to be this. You're watching like Skins and you're like, I'm meant to be like
I'm supposed to be that.
Yeah, and like
I was watching Skins and I was like, well, everyone in the UK is doing that, so I guess America fucking sucks.
I want to move. Get these fucking flags off my face.
Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or comments or any topics you want us to chat about in the future, like please comment below.